Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Yoshino. Welcome back to week 3 of the anime Battle Royale, where we pit the 13 most popular shows going into the season and see which shows were actually worth watching. Each week we knock out one show. We've already knocked out 2 shows so far this season. First one we knocked out was Darwin's Game. Didn't really care for it. Kind of generic. But then we also knocked out Infinite Dendrogram. Same reasons. Kind of generic and didn't seem like it was going to go anywhere new or exciting, and visuals just weren't holding up. But let's see who survives this week and who's getting the death sentence. Let's begin. I apologize right now. Of course, this is the time that my upstairs neighbor is deciding to listen to music loud. I'm going to try to edit out as much of it as possible, but there's really nothing much I can do. I love living in an apartment. I just love it. So anyways, I just finished the 3rd episode of It Invaded. I'm starting to get it now. Like, I've always really enjoyed the way the story was going for the first 2 episodes, but I felt like it took a step back from everything that it was trying to do in part 1 of the first episode into part 2, I guess. They're treating the first hour-long episode 1, whatever, I don't know where I am. And I'm enjoying it so far. The thing that I'm trying to say is that I'm now getting into its groove. It is a police drama, but it's a psychological police drama, and I'm really enjoying it. Where just that first half of the episode was devoted to solving the mystery, which I kind of had an idea of from the start. In all the answers are through that girl Kaoru-chan. I believe I'm butchering her name correctly. But she holds a lot of the answers, and I don't know what she is. They're not really explaining it too well. I think she's just something in the programming, some part of everyone's subconsciousness, I guess, in the machine. I don't understand it, but I'm enjoying it because she is a character that's reflecting a lot of these different other characters into one. The fact that they're able to solve these mysteries using her death is very interesting, and I'm greatly enjoying that aspect of it. But then the second half of the episode was literally just a psychological breakdown of that character. Both in a descriptive way in a literary descriptive way where we're describing how he has broken down and become the character that he is, and then actually watching him break down on screen. Very well done, very well timed. I'm enjoying that aspect of it. These characters are smart, but they're not obscenely smart. They're smart enough to just understand the psychology of themselves and those around them. And I greatly appreciate that storytelling where, yeah, they're giving us the information, but they're not spoon-feeding it to us, they're drip-feeding it to us in the right amount. I don't know how else to put it. It's a very well done, very well scripted show. The world that they create, I don't know if they could do that as well in an animated or in a non-animated series and make it feel tangible to the world. There's always that uncanny valley that people try to tread against, but they keep falling further and further into in live action movies. I don't think this series would have worked in a live action series, and I'm forever grateful that they decided to do an anime if it wasn't an anime in their original decision-making process. So, I'm thoroughly enjoying this. I'm giving this a very solid 8 at the moment. It could easily be higher to a 9 or a 10, but the way it's pacing and the way it's going is keeping me from giving it that 9 at the moment. But if the series keeps up at this pace, I can give this like an instant classic, in my opinion. I'm not saying it's an instant classic for the entire anime community, but for me, it's an instant classic. So far with just these first 3 episodes. I will say one thing I am upset about is that they did kill off the one character. I kind of wanted to see more of him and the main character Sakaido bounce off of each other more. But I like the fact that they're opening up the door to possibly him talking to the guy from the first episode, the first killer. Having him be able to bounce off of him. I like that dichotomy, that deepening of both of their characters. I think that's really good. Not just a one-note character done and gone, but an actual continuing character for the main character to bounce off of. I like that. So let's just hope that the rest of this series keeps up the hype that I have for it, and we move on to our next episode, which is Bofuri. I don't know if it's like I've just seen so many shows like this one before that I'm starting to get to the point where they don't feel as bad to me, or if I'm just actually enjoying this one. I'm at this point where I can't tell which is which. I am greatly enjoying the cutesy moe video game aesthetics, but it's been done before and it feels exactly the same. Would I put those shows up to being like one of my most favorite shows of all time? No, by no means. If someone asked me if I wanted to watch a show about it, I wouldn't say no either. So I don't really know with this show, but to say I don't know does not mean bad things. What it really means is that it's not hurting me at this moment. I am greatly enjoying it. That first half of the episode had me laughing. It had me smiling. It was cute. It was funny. It was endearing. There were some problems with it, but there was plenty of meme-worthy things that made up for it, and they're not bad memes. They're actually funny memes. There's just one thing that's been on my mind, and that is, does the person who wrote this series, because it is a light novel, does the person who wrote this series actually know a lot about video games? And it seems like, yes, they know a lot about video games, but maybe not to the depth as someone who plays a lot of video games. So I kind of put their intelligence level on the basis of how video games work about at my level. I play a lot of video games. I'm not good at any of them. I'm not someone who can talk about game development, about battle strategies in games, about how to better balance a game, what to nerf, what not. I know when something is a little bit too overpowered, and I know when a game is very badly balanced. But most games I play, I can't tell you how they're balanced, if they're fairly balanced. I just can't. I'm not that type of person. Like, yeah, I love Smash Brothers. I love playing it, but I couldn't tell you how to work those games. I honestly couldn't. But this show, I can tell, is written by someone who doesn't understand the complexities of that kind of stuff because of one thing, and that was literally they had this character comment on how she was beating people by accident. And he goes, that's a little too overpowered, isn't it? If you're beating someone by accident for a show like this for comedic values, yeah, it works. But to make this a game world and have it be believable, have that verisimilitude, I know big words. But to have us be able to feel like this is a real thing and have that be the core concept, it doesn't come off quite as well. So far, that's like my only real big complaint. Besides the fact that the animation isn't the greatest. It's not bad. The 3D CGI is kind of bad. And the character models are not really all that inspired. They're cute. They're definitely cute. I like all of them. None of them are just making me sit there and go, that's a bad character design. But they're not making me sit there and think, oh my gosh, this is like the cutest character, or this is an absolute brilliant design to a character. They're generic. They're fitting their purpose, and that's fine. I just kind of wish I had a little bit more from it. That's a big complaint I have about the anime community, or the anime industry as a whole. But that's just me. Who cares what I think, right? I'm just some nobody. But to say that this show, that I hate it in any regard, is untrue. I don't hate this. This definitely isn't one of my favorite ones this season, but it's one of those ones that I do not feel bad watching the next episode. I do want to know more about these characters. I'm just hoping that future episodes are going to give it to me, because I like the way these characters interact with each other. As little interactions as we've actually seen so far with them. So here's hoping for more and for better next week. And speaking of next, So, Orphan. I kind of like this episode, to be honest. I kind of feel as though this series is a more light-hearted, dark fantasy. It definitely has that dark fantasy element of this region, this world, this power system, whatever, has a lot of drawbacks to it. Yes, there is a lot of power in the world, but most of it comes at a pretty high price. And I like that. This originally came out in the time period when most animes and mangas and stuff like that were pretty dark fantasy. And this series seems to be a more middle ground on that. It's definitely adventure fantasy with some playful natures to it, but it also has that dark fantasy element to it. Do I think they're doing a good enough job with it? Not really. But it's something I haven't seen in a while, and it's definitely got a nostalgic feeling for me, and I like it. I don't love it, but I definitely like it. This series just does something for me that not a lot of series do nowadays. But again, I don't love it. I feel like there's something that's being lost in translation from one medium to another, and I don't know what it is, and I kind of wish I knew what it was, so that way I can do a better job of expressing what's missing, but I just don't know what it is, and that's my big problem with this series. Am I willing to watch another episode? Yeah. Do I want to go out of my way to watch another episode? Not really. Being forced to watch another episode like this doesn't seem so bad. But there are other shows this season, and I'm looking forward to a lot more than this show. So we'll just have to see how it lines up with the rest of them. And speaking of next is... So just finished that new episode of Toilet Bound Hanako-kun. And yeah, still digging it. I just love the aesthetics, the character designs, the character personalities, the just overall arcing feel of the story. The one thing I kind of didn't see when I read the manga the first time around is that this series has more of a... it's definitely more slanted towards girls, if I was to take a guess. But I didn't catch that the first time around. I just kind of figured it's one of those series that appeals to guys and girls. Again, definitely a show worth watching by anybody, in my opinion, especially if you like classical Japanese horror stories. This does a very comedic take on it. But there also that brief sense of like adrenaline rush for me, at least. Not a big one or a strong one, but I felt a rush when the characters are being attacked by the different monsters. It definitely has a good sense of direction in that point. In the end, I just think this show is very, very well done. I wouldn't say it's my favorite show this season, but it's definitely one that I'm very, very glad made it on this list because I am enjoying almost every single second of it. The only thing that's kind of got me off is the way Hanako acts around her because, again, the story is definitely written for a female audience now that I can see that. I didn't see it the first time around, but now I see it. And I don't know, I'm not against it. I just got a different view of it when I was reading the manga. Now hearing them act out the characters, I can see what I missed. That's just me. But I'm enjoying it. Love it. Every second of it. Can't wait for next episode. So let's move on. What is this show? Like, I'm loving Dorohedoro. But what is it? It is insanity. I can't put it into words, but I'm loving it. The characters, the dynamics between them, the just batshit crazy stuff going on fucking everywhere. It is great. I am loving it. I don't know how else to put it. Character designs, and character designs does... Is it just me, or does this chick remind me of remind anybody else of Goku. I don't know why. I just think Goku when I see her. But the character designs, the absurdity of it all, it almost seems like the creator of it just said, I want a guy with a lizard head who bites people to learn things, and just ran with it. The landscape, it all feels tangible. And in a medium like this, tangibility is the most important thing. That verisimilitude is what's most important in animation. I am just astounded by this series. I bet you the manga's even better, because I'm starting to be 100% honest, I don't hate the 3D CGI in this. I just feel as though it could be better. That's just my opinion on it. Someone else can tell me I'm wrong. But I think the opening, which looks to be 2D animated, moves so much better and has that same energy into it that the manga should have had, but in just the opening. The outro really isn't much. But I'm super enjoying this opening. The OP is great. The music is good. The visuals are great. It's just a better OP than what normally we get from shows like this. But I just feel like the show's CGI is not the best at this moment. Does that mean that the show is falling apart because of that? No, by no means. The story writing, the characters, the environment that it's in is more than making up for it. I'm enjoying every second of it. When a show has me to the point where as soon as the end credits rolling, it's like, next episode please, but there isn't a next episode, it's good. I haven't felt that way for too many shows recently. There's always that one show where it's like, yes, next episode. And this is that show. I'm glad to have it. It is definitely staying on for right now. So let's move on. Pet just keeps being awesome for me. I just have one small complaint. They don't let things ruminate. This is a problem I also have when I try writing stories and try doing film work and stuff. I don't give shots time to ruminate. Don't let ideas digest visually. For a series that is very much psychological and very much having to have you think about it, this series isn't giving you that time to think in a way I think would be helpful. I don't know how it's going to end and if that's going to affect, like if it gave it time to digest on you, if it would be better or worse for the story in the long run, I don't know. But in my opinion, a series like this needs to have time to breathe. And it's just not giving it. It's a little bit too much packed into one episode when it could be a little bit more spread out. And just the tiniest bit. Just the tiniest bit. But I don't hate it. I absolutely love it. This series is absolutely great. And I absolutely love the fact that I feel like there was a couple of different Satoshi-kun references in this series. It may just be me. I may be the only one, but I love how they had that golden bat with the slight bend in it. I think that might just be a stereotype in Japan. I don't know. But the fact that they use that as kind of like the thing to get you into this character, understand him from like a surface level, I think that was great, and a great homage, maybe reference, homage. I don't know what it would be specifically if it is, but I love that it was directed towards Satoshi Kon. I felt like there was other things in there that could have been a little bit more reference material, but I don't know if they actually were or not. So, but I love it. This show is very well aware of what it is and what it's supposed to be doing. This Studio Gino, I think, they're fairly new, and the only thing they've done in my opinion, well, is they've done Golden Kamui. Did they do it the best? Maybe. I don't know if another studio could do it better, but they did it good. Kofuku, I think that's how you pronounce it, it wasn't all that good. This series, on the other hand, is also very well done. I think they definitely found their foothold on what kind of stories they do good. I'm just waiting for them to do a really, really good job. I know this is a bit of a step down from when I first started watching this series, but I'm getting to the point where I'm having to be a little bit more critical on the shows other than just first opinions on them. And this show definitely has high hopes from me. I would not be surprised if this is in my top 3 by the end of the season. How will it end? I don't know, because it's really, really close with It Invaded. But that's just me. I love psychological shows like that. If you're not into them, completely understand. But just understand, I love these kind of series. These are my jam. But to say that this show is hitting everything I expect from it, especially off of that first episode, not really. But I hope it gets better. I hope it hits that high again. I'm so looking forward to it because I know they can do it. I just hope this isn't a show that fizzles out before it reaches its end. I really, really hope it's not that show. But with that being said, we got more shows to watch, like... So I think people are calling this show Rikei-koi. I think science love, I guess, is the translation. Either way, I'm still enjoying it. Best thing I can say about it, it's cute science girls doing cute science girls things. And I absolutely love it. I'm just glad all the character designs are cute. I'm glad all the characters are relatable and enjoyable. I kind of wish the animation wasn't so stiff, but we know these kind of shows, that's not what they're there for. You could read the manga and get the same experience minus the acting that the voice actors give. But that doesn't mean it's not enjoyable. Well written, and like I was saying earlier, the timing on it is great, and they let the jokes breathe. They're good and well timed and well balanced and spread out just enough time that I can sit there and enjoy it all. It is a show that is really, really enjoyable for just being a stupid romantic comedy. I mean, I feel for these characters, and that's a good thing that a show can get you to do, is to feel for these characters, whether it be like I feel bad for them or I feel good for them. You as long as you have that innate sense of connection to them, they did a good job. That sympathy for their character, good or bad, as long as they're able to pull that off, it's a good show, and this show is doing it in spades so far. I believe it has more to do with the manga, but the art style is, helping it out a lot, and just everything about it is good. A little bit of the sciencey stuff, I like how they do know science, but it's slowly becoming apparent that either one, the creator of it only knows basic STEM science, or two, they're going from the basics and working up to more complicated things. I'm hoping for the latter more so than the former, but you never know with creators like this. They may just have this idea that they wanted to do, and then their editors are pulling in the extra stuff. I don't know. I'm hoping it gets better, but it's already good so far, so I'm not complaining. It's good. It's definitely worth the watch. So yeah, I'm just hoping for more of this show. Easily one of my top 3 shows this season so far. Easily one of my top 3. So let's just hope for more good episodes coming down the pike. But in the meantime, we have to watch. I don't get it. I don't get it. I love Nekopata. That's actually probably a bit of an extreme. I really, really enjoy Nekopata. But for some reason, I just can't really get into it. And I think the biggest problem is that there's a lot less plot and then a lot less plot, if you know what I mean. The story is, in 2 episodes, they basically found a stray cat. That is it. In 2 episodes, they found a stray cat and took it in. That's it. That's the plot. And then, for the sake of plot, there's barely been any, really. There's been a bit of flirting back and forth between the different cat girls, and there was a bath scene, and that was it. And it wasn't good, but it wasn't bad. It was nice. I liked seeing the one cat girl reacting to the water. That's about it. Other than that, this show just... it's mindless fan service and not even good at that. I've even heard, I'm not positive, but I've heard that the girls' voice actresses are not the same from the original series. From the visual novels. And they just, to me, they sound fine, but a lot of people are complaining about them, and I kind of, like I said, they're fine, but I'm starting to agree they're not as good as the original voice actresses. And when a visual novel does a better job telling a story than the anime that it's being based off of, you did something wrong, especially when this visual novel isn't really like a good visual novel. It's a good story with pictures. If they had just animated it like that, I probably would have been upset still, but I don't know. It's just this series is giving me a lot of stress, and I don't like that fact that it is. But I do enjoy Nekopara. I don't know how much longer I can handle this, though. A lot of people I know who really, really like it are upset over it. I'm not upset, but I'm not happy. I'm so unhappy that I'm just ready to... let's move on to whatever's next. I'm really glad Somali and the Forest Spirit finally came back. Like I said, I heard before that there were rumors that this show was going to be dropped, or that there was going to be complications with the production schedule, and that it may get pushed to later seasons. I don't know the specifics. I just heard rumors about that once they, instead of showing the next episode, they showed an interview between the main voice actors, or actor and actress. But I'm glad it's back, because I definitely love this story. It is very heartwarming, very endearing, and we know, especially by this episode, that it's going to have a very bittersweet ending. I don't know where it's going to end, because as far as I know, this is a still ongoing series. But this series is definitely heartwarming enough in its day-to-day moments that it's making it worth me watching. I'm enjoying it. I'm still not 100% into the art style, but the character designs, the coloration of them, the feel of them in movement, the acting in them, all of them are great. I'm thoroughly enjoying that. It's the backgrounds I'm having a hard time with, and it's not like these are bad backgrounds. These are great backgrounds. I'm just so used to the manga. And with the manga still ongoing, we don't really have an end to this series. This series, unless it comes up with an end on its own, is not going to end in its 12-episode run. Which is a good thing, because at least I know that there is still more oncoming. There is a chance at a sequel, especially as popular as this show is at this moment. But if they're having troubles with the production as it is, if the rumors are true that they are having problems with production, I don't know the viability of this show. I feel really bad for them that this is going on, but just how the show is at the moment, I'm enjoying it. We'll leave it at that. I'm enjoying this show. I love the characters. I love their dynamics. I love everything about them. It makes me want to go back and read the manga, but I'm going to wait until the show is over, then go and check out the manga to give it that fight. Because that's how a lot of productions are picked for like sequels and stuff like that, is as soon as the show is over, how does that affect manga sales? Do manga sales go up? Do they stay the same? Do they go down? And then they decide sequels based on that. They also decide if it sells so many DVDs. DVDs is another big selling feature for a series to a company. So let's hope that if the series does come to an end in its manga form, that it does well enough for them to bring it to a conclusion in the anime form later. I'm hoping, I'm praying, because I'm thoroughly enjoying this show. Not as much as like my other top 3 this season, but we have a really good collection of shows this season. There's a couple of bad ones, but this is not one of them. I want to stress that most importantly. This is not a bad show. I thoroughly enjoy it. But with that, let's move on. Inspector. I am very happy that we are getting 2 different yokai stories, and they're both mysteries. I love a good mystery story. Well, maybe not so much from Hanako-kun, but Inspector is definitely a mystery story with yokais. And I'm enjoying that. That's really, really good. But if I was to compare Inspector to Hanako-kun, I feel like Hanako-kun kind of gets me going a lot more than Inspector does. Inspector is good. I like the way the characters are, especially the main girl. She's the cutest. No argument from anybody. I don't want to hear it. All the girls in that show are cute, by the way. But then the yokais themselves are a little bit more interesting to me because they feel a little bit more traditional. Whereas Hanako-kun is definitely taking a more modern take on it, but definitely keeping it traditional at the same time. Like, the core sense of what yokais are, they're keeping very, very traditional, but giving it a modern twist. This show is taking the modern twists and then slightly bringing them back to the original. It is still in no way anything like Gegege no Kitaro, which keeps it like completely traditional and modern at the same time. A very hard line to balance. These ones are kind of falling on either side of that balance. And it's very interesting, but if I was to compare the two of them, I would like Hanako-kun more so than Inspector. That is not to say Inspector is bad. I'm greatly enjoying this series. It's just not my number one because the aesthetics of it are a little bit underwhelming, I guess. I don't know if it's because it's still really early in the series or if just Hanako-kun is that good of aesthetics. I can believe that second one. But if it is because it's too early in the series and this show hasn't found its footing yet, understandable. I can get that. It is only the second episode so far. Still very curious about that main guy. Like, what is his backstory? That is definitely interesting enough, especially since they basically gave the main girl's entire backstory. I don't know. I'm definitely curious. I'm definitely wanting to see more. So let's hope that more becomes good, and we'll move on to our final one, our definite final one being Plunderer. As of episode 3, the only thing I can come up with is you're a bad fairy tale. And I think that is the most insulting thing anyone has ever said in anime. I feel like your brand of comedy is straight from the creator, and I think I'm saying his name right, I'm not going to look it up, it's Hiro Mashima? I think that's right. It's his brand of comedy, and you're not even doing that right. I'm just not that entertained by this show. In no way is it bad, but in no way is it good either. The only things that are good in this show, in my opinion, are the fight scenes and some of the ecchi. And we got basically a tiny bit of a fight and a bit of ecchi. And it wasn't even good ecchi this time. It was just, oh, I can see up your skirt, but that's all it was. It was just a bunch of thighs. Which I'm okay with thighs. I'm not going to argue with that. But in this show, if you're not even going to do a good enough job with it, why am I watching you? And that's really all I have to say about this show, other than it's mind-numbingly stupid and entertaining for some people, I guess, but I've just seen so many like this that I can't do it. It's making me go crazy each and every single time I have to watch this show. I can't do it. Can't do it no more. And speaking of no more, it's time for ending up this thing and talking about our top 3 and bottom 3 shows, which is going to be really, really difficult. So, before we kill off a show, let's talk about our top 3 shows. In third place, and I feel like it's slipping in places because this episode wasn't as good as it was before, but it's still better than everything else just because of what it does I like. And that is Pet. I'm enjoying it still, but if it keeps not doing as good as that first episode and I'm just losing that high on it, it may slip further because other shows are starting, in my opinion, are starting to find their footing. If I'm not mistaken, this show was supposed to actually air last season, but they ran into some problems before the show actually hit the air, and now it's been pushed to this season. I can almost see where the problems are. The animation and directing is kind of falling apart. If I knew who was directing each episode by the end of the series, I can definitely point out where the problems are. But as of right now, this show is definitely really, really good in its story. I'm very intrigued by these characters that they're throwing at us. I'm wanting to see that main guy again because apparently he's a very important character to these people. Whether he created this organization of psychic brain fuckery or whatever it is, and what do you mean this main guy who's clearly the main character of the show, like the I don't want to say he's the protagonist exactly, but he's kind of the main focal point for a lot of this kind of stuff. Why is he the pet? And then what does that really mean? There's that just enough amount of mystery in this show that it's making me very interested in seeing more. I'm wanting more from this show. But it's starting to slip, so that's why it's cleanly in third place. In second place is Rikekoi. And I'm enjoying it, but I'm starting to get over that high of that first episode. It's definitely very, very funny. That's why it's in second place, beating out Pet, one of these shows that I was absolutely blown away by at first. But if the jokes aren't getting better but staying the same, it'll be doing fine. But I'm waiting for that episode where everyone's like, yes, this show, this fucking series, yes, memes everywhere, everyone loving it. Just, I'm waiting for that Reddit moment in this show. I'm so looking forward to it. I'm so waiting for it. But I don't know when it's going to come. And at this moment, the jokes are... some are really, really funny. Some are meh. The scene where she completely judo flips him had me rolling. And him running away from having his heartbeat tested and finding out that he's completely hopeless when it comes to women, period. I laughed. Some of the other jokes kind of fell flat, like some of the cooking jokes. But the show is still very, very entertaining. Even those were making me smile the entire time. That could be a combination of anything from the writing being good. I honestly couldn't tell you if it's just that the characters are cute or if the writing is good. But the characters are definitely cute. They are some of the cutest girls this season. The only other show that has girls, in my opinion, like consistently cute is Inspector. Pretty much every girl I've seen in this show so far, including the... I still don't completely understand the mystery, but the girl who is the supposed murderer, she is cute. Like, if she was in another show, she would be top tier waifu material. And she is going to be a one-off character. And I am enjoying it. But Rikekoi, all the girls are beyond cute. It's definitely giving me that Kaguya-sama feel. But Kaguya-sama was better. This one is just something I can get into a lot better. I'm just waiting for it to take that next step. I can't even come up with the words for it because I can't describe what it's missing. But that next step, I am waiting for it. I'm hoping for it. Please come soon. I want people to know about this series. It came out late, but gosh, is it worth it. I can go on forever. So let's just move on to number 1, which is It Invaded still. I'm loving it. I'm loving how this main character is. Just period. He is a psychological badass. There's only one thing in this show that's been drawing me out of it, and it's when he kept getting dropped into the well. Supposedly, according to the physics of this world, you don't remember anything when you get in there the first time around. And you don't remember it the second time, or the third time, or the fourth time. But after a while, he was slowly learning. According to them, that shouldn't be possible. But I can give it to this show as being, we need to get this moving faster. And it wasn't that bad. That is like my one complaint from this show so far. Other than I would like to see more banter between the guy who was doing the sniper stuff, or the bombing. I guess he was a bomber, but his id was sniping zone. I don't understand. That's not my thing. Like, I love psychological, but understanding it is not my thing. Just getting into the head of the character and not living vicariously through them, but just understanding that this is a thought process and having it be like, okay, I can understand that thought process. I like that about psychological. I wanted to see more between those two characters, the main guy and the bomber dude. Or, if nothing else, between the guy with the hole in his head. Have more between them. I don't understand this, the girl who got kidnapped in the first episode. I don't understand how she's playing into it, because it seemed, to me, she's playing a more important role to the main character dude. But I don't know where it's going to connect in and everything, because they're keeping the past a secret, which is good. Just leaving just enough information to make you want to know more without actually telling you, hey, there is more. This could be it. This could be it for all we know. And that's good. It's making us want to know. But the way they're showing his psychosis, maybe not psychosis, but definitely his psychology and how he is unable to cope with the past and his dreams. Very basic analogy, but a very well done analogy. And that's the important part here. Everything about this show is well done. From animation to design to characters, their acting, the writing, the plot itself. It is perfect. I can't think of a better show I'm watching this season. I haven't really added some sequels that I could be watching right now, because I definitely want to watch the Madoka Magica sequel. But beyond that, like everything else, this is the best show. I am probably going to watch this show to the finale, even if I decide to drop it for some strange reason. I'm going to finish this show. Mark my words. But for this series, right now, it is number 1, and there is no way of stopping it. But speaking of stopping, let's move on to our bottom 3. And I know I always say I'm going to do a bottom 3, but this one's really hard. And I'm going to give my explanation just as quick as possible. I have 3 different ranking of shows right now. The top ranking are shows that I do not want to stop. Those top 3 are them. There's maybe 1 or 2 that are up there too that I just don't want to stop, but in the middle are shows that I don't want to stop, but when it comes time to drop shows, they're getting kicked off the bus first. I don't want to stop them, but I won't miss them if I need to for this series. That's the whole thing, is that these series are good. They just ain't that good. And then we have our bottom shows, which there are 2 of. And only 2, And those two shows I want to drop as soon as possible. And those shows tied for the same place, but only one of them can be dropped. They're tied for the same place. In last place is Plunderer and Orphan. And it was really, really tough on me to decide which show I was going to drop. And my reasoning for it is, I think, pretty sound, but maybe contradictory to what I said. So far, I said that Orphan is a show that seems like it's not knowing what it wants to do, but at least has a path going forward. And Plunderer is just floundering around. I am dropping Orphan because Orphan feels like at episode 3 it came to a complete end. That little arc, that one book that we got through in those 3 episodes is done. Yeah, there's more coming. We definitely know that. But what is it? I don't know, and I don't care. Whereas Plunderer left the door open to a continued story that has just that vaguely more desire for me to want to know. And it's by the slimmest of margins that I've made this decision. If Orphan was kind of starting out the next chapter of the story, it probably would have beaten out Plunderer. Not a hard competition. But this series, Orphan, has a complete conclusion, and I don't feel bad about dropping it, because if I drop it this week, next week it's going to start a story, and then I'm going to drop it. I'm going to be like, man, I could have ended this earlier and not wanted to know more about this plot thread that I just picked up. Plunderer, on the other hand, I'm still holding to a plot thread, and I can see the end coming up. Hopefully in the next episode, I can get to it so I can drop it as soon as possible, because I am done with this show, but I'm also done with Orphan. And with that, it's time for us to say our prayer. Rest in peace, Orphan. You are good. And with that, I'd like to say thank you for making it to week 3 of the Anime Battle Royale. Tune in next week when I kill this show. I'm not kidding. But anyways, I've been Yoshino. Thank you for stopping in. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe and all that jazz that you know what to do. Follow me on both Twitch and on, I think technically I'm only on Twitter. So only those two. And follow me here. I'll see you guys next week on the Anime Battle Royale. See ya!